Yo guys, welcome to The Last Lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. There's plenty of examples of contracts and team changes going wrong. We actually saw on the Track Limits podcast, Daniel Kvyat was on there. Really interesting. So, wind back to 2015.
Yeah.
Red Bull.
Yeah.
Kvyat, Ricciardo. Who scored more points?
Kvyat.
He did.
Daniel.
Outscored Daniel. Outscored Daniel. Who, and then Daniel had beaten Vettel the year prior in 2014.
So Daniel Kvyat is better than Sebastian Vettel.
Well, look, I mean, I'm not saying that. You said that.
We didn't want to say it. But we had to.
So you look at Daniel Kvyat, fantastic season 2015. Apparently, according to him, he had an offer from Ferrari to replace Kimi Räikkönen.
Right.
To go alongside Vettel.
Yeah.
For 2016 at Ferrari. And he said no. And then four races into 20...
he got demoted to Toro Rosso after Spain. Before Spain.
Torpedoing Vettel.
Yeah, the irony of it all.
Well, the China one was harsh. Was that season? No.
It was. No, it was
it that season?
Yeah, it was that season.
Because that
one was crazy.
But Russia was mad.
Yeah, Russia was harsh.
When hang
on. Which way round was it? China was harsh. Yes,
I think Daniel was like perfectly within his right to be where he was, and Vettel kind of squeezed him.
He did just drive into the back of Seb at Russia.
Yes,
on that left-hander, wasn't it?
So within four races, if you're going to count, look at the end. He went from offer at Ferrari to replace Räikkönen alongside Vettel. Said no thanks. I'm going to stay at Red Bull. Didn't think about Max Verstappen waiting in the wings, who then replaced him instead of Ricciardo, because, again, Kvyat had definitely the weaker start.
That might be the worst contract of all time. That contract decision of all time. I'm going to be honest.
You think because
from that moment...
Think of the knock-on effect.
Yeah. To be fair, but from that moment, that was a career that went from, actually promising in a car that could win races to, now you're just Toro Rosso fodder for the next 3 years and then you're out.
Yeah, because
that's actually a turning point.
He was in Toro Rosso, then he was out for a bit, and then he came back and Because I don't know if you remember the press conference in Spain before the race where they had Verstappen in the Red Bull gear, Kvyat in the Toro Rosso gear, and understandably at the time,
they're criminals for that, by the way.
Kvyat, it's harsh. And they were asking other drivers, "What do you think?" Fernando's just sitting there with a big grin on his face, just loving the shit out of rhythm. But it's Kvyat, understandably, Kvyat was pissed, and you could see he was upset. But now knowing this, oh my goodness, this is a Ferrari that became that challenged the Mercedes in 17 and 18 as well.
But you know what I'm thinking? So was this for the 2016 season off the back of 2015?
I believe so. Yeah, from what he's said,
that's actually quite a surprise. Because if it was off the back of an earlier season where Ferrari, they had that grim nose in front. Fair enough. Ferrari were nowhere. That car was shit.
Yeah.
But they'd actually kind of got a grip of themselves by the time he was getting that contract offer. It was probably quite level, no?
Well, yeah.
Ferrari and Red Bull were level pegging, and Williams as well.
Yeah, I think it's one of them where at the time you can kind of understand why he didn't take the Ferrari offer. Because he'd just beaten Ricciardo.
Yeah.
And he would have at least considered himself as good as Ricciardo. Yeah. Felt like he was comfortable. We'd got, a bunch of podiums. So in hindsight, it's very easy to look back and think, which obviously it was a bad decision in hindsight, clearly. But Kvyat went on to be a Ferrari kind of, I think he's doing some...
Yeah, he was doing Ferrari testing, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So he went into have a relationship with them anyway. But I'm trying to think any other really stinky moves. Because I remember when... Well, I don't remember. I was 6. When Jacques Villeneuve went from Williams, where he won the title,
to BAR. Yeah, that might be the worst.
That was
because
really
that was sort of I want to build my own team.
Yeah,
make it amazing. And then the first season he went there, he didn't finish the first 10 races of the season.
Yeah, it was
the car just kept blowing up. So that probably is the worst. Going from winning a championship and just cool, my engine goes on strike really every.
Have you got any other ones that come to mind?
There's your obvious sort of Alonso, Ricciardo ones.
Which Alonso one would you say is the Because there were quotes from Alonso earlier this week, kind of, because he said like when he had his time out of F1, like he won Le Mans, like he has achieved things outside of F1. So he thinks he gets unfairly criticised for his career decision.
Yeah, no, he probably does a little bit because again, it's all hindsight, but.
The benefit of hindsight. What's the stinkiest one from Alonso though? Because obviously
it's got to be McLaren.
McLaren back to Renault.
It's McLaren back to Renault was poor.
Yeah,
there was an element of me that understood it at the time,
and I don't think that relationship was tenable anymore after.
Oh yeah, no, he couldn't stay at McLaren.
Yeah,
so he had to go somewhere, and he'd obviously won 2 championships with Renault, so it made like a lot of sense. But obviously Renault weren't where they were in the years prior. I think the stinkiest has to be McLaren Honda. It has to be.
Well, when he went from Ferrari to because you look at what Ferrari again. Same with Kvyat, like what that team went on to achieve. How close Vettel was, getting to Lewis in 17.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the laughing stock ultimately that McLaren was in the time that he drove there.
You know what one as well, because I know obviously Ricciardo gets stick for leaving Red Bull in the first place, which. Look, I understood that move, but I think him going from Renault to McLaren, I think was.
But I also understood.
Why though?
No, because Renault.
I never really understood it.
I think it ultimately again came down to.
It was a sidestep.
I think that was a legacy decision again. I think that was one of those where it was like, look, listen. McLaren are traditionally a big team.
Yeah.
They're on the rise a little bit again. Let me just move over there and hopefully I think he was looking at it from the perspective of, can I win a championship with Renault as they are right now? No. But could I maybe win a championship in 3 years? Or not, well, challenge for a championship, challenge for wins, a McLaren team that's growing in 3 years. Maybe.
Yeah.
In the moment, I think he knew it was a sidestep, but I think he was hoping that the potential of McLaren was higher. And in the end, they both just sort of balanced out.
Because I guess, look, McLaren won a race in 2021, and they were the third best team in 2020.
Yeah.
So I guess from that point of view, could Ricciardo have possibly? It was a wrong move. It was a wrong move for him.
Yeah.
With his specific, the nuances
Skills.
to his style.
Yeah.
Right, which didn't work with McLaren, but clearly, at Renault, he was unreal. In 2019, he was sick. Him and Checo
nuts. Yeah.
in that force, they were so good. They put themselves front and center. But I think now knowing this I do wonder how many, because Kvyat's never announced.
There
must be so many more stories.
Yeah. I was the one who turned down going to a team that then absolutely battered the championship the next season.
I'm trying to think which ones could have possibly who had a really good season.
I reckon David Coulthard's fuming low key.
What? Because
retired from Red Bull and then the next season they were just sick immediately.
Yeah,
I'd be fuming. I'd have been like, look, listen, I appreciate the retirement party, everyone. Thanks for the pension, but let me just for this season. I want to come back. I want to win things. Yeah, because it felt like he just did all the dirty work in terms of when Red Bull were in the mid pack and then left and then they were amazing.
I remember when Webber left Jaguar to Williams. And that was just as Red Bull took over Jaguar. So then he ended up going back.
Yeah.
But if it had been at Red Bull from day dot, which he could have been if he'd stayed Jag, then that could have maybe ended up a bit differently for him. I reckon he could have got a world title, considering how close he got in that first, in 2010.
Yeah, but he was always against Vettel though, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, because Vettel came out of nowhere. He only led that 2010 championship
at the
last race.
Yeah, the last race, yeah.
That was a pretty mad one, but
let
us know if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Apple Podcast, Spotify, if you're listening and can comment. Let us know what are your maddest, worst transfers